It is the 11th of the 4th, 2014. This is your Radioactive Reality. Computer got attacked. My hard drive was completely corrupted, so my computer is in the repair mode. I got a guy working on it. I'm running on a spare, so bear with me. ED News. Fukushima worker on the verge of breakdown speaking about 311. Quote, "The earth around me is distorting like Jell-O. Massive upheavals taking entire Reactor 1 turbine building with it." Quote, "Sounds like it wants to come apart, going to explode. Concrete floor and walls around us began to crack. A very unstable area." Fairwinds video. Many in Fukushima told me of family or friends dying suddenly. Quote, "I sense something grave is happening." People are sicker in Tokyo as well. I also experienced unusual symptoms when in Japan recently. The insanity continues. Godzilla trailer features nuclear plant site in crisis. Quote, "They're not fooling anybody that it was a natural disaster. They're lying. I'm not crazy. Whatever they're guarding so carefully, I need to be able to prove it. Quote, "You have no idea what's coming. It's going to send us back to the Stone Age." Experts. Nuclear chain reactions may have lasted over 7 months at Fukushima. Neutron leakage from active molten fuel. We've been going on and on about this. Quote, "Core producing radioactive sulfur. Top government official mocks fuel could be neutron source." Here we go with the MOX fuel again. That's the plutonium-enriched uranium, if you don't know what MOX fuel is. Illegally operated in Fukushima number 3 when it exploded. Far more serious than feds are letting on at U.S. nuclear site. This is Hanford, of course. Many workers in much worse shape than reported. Week-long nosebleeds, intense headaches, shaking, burning lungs, and vomiting. Worker, "Now I'm worrying after 2 weeks I feel worse, not better." And this has been going on and on and on. For how long? Not going away, folks. Navy sailors, frozen Fukushima steam blanketed ship. Crew suffered massive radiation doses, dozens have cancer, calls for it to be sunk, still too radioactive. The Navy, "There's some contamination, but it's okay." Nothing to worry about, folks. TEPCO, "No way U.S. officials would rely on information we were telling to the public." Did you hear that? TEPCO said, no way U.S. officials were relying on information TEPCO was telling the public. Fukushima, a global disaster with huge environmental consequences. Like all nuclear catastrophes, UC Berkeley, a nuclear expert, there's clear and obvious consequences from radiation releases. Citizens should be prepared. Cold truth is accident will always occur. How many active nuclear reactors are on this planet? Those are just the ones we know about. Accidents will always occur. Fukushima children flee radiation, quote, "Getting nosebleeds, growing pale and lethargic. Mistrust of officials high. Father, quote, "Cases of cancer are up. We are worried. Mother, I don't believe it's safe as government claims. Raising questions can you get branded raising questions can get you branded as a troublemaker." Remember, they'll arrest you in Japan now if you speak out about this nuclear stuff. Government model shows airborne radioactive plume covering entire west coast of the U.S. and Canada on March 22nd, 2011. Airborne radioactive plume covering entire west coast of the United States and Canada on March 22nd, 2011. 10 times more radioactive than the plume coming from Fukushima plant on the same day. Radiation levels in some plumes had no discernible decrease after crossing Pacific. Don't worry, folks. Everything's completely under control. UN agency. Fukushima Reactor 2 burst after fuel melted. The radiation doses quickly hit highest levels of entire crisis for many places across the region. This is number 2, the one that's still together. Went in almost every direction, then skyrocketed all around the same time. Study finds deformities significantly higher in Fukushima insects. To my knowledge, such deformations haven't been reported in species before. Lower body split in half, two tail-like appendages, 1,000% higher death rate in young than other Japan areas. This is the insects. Urgent investigation is called for. What happened around Chernobyl? Ain't nothing on what's going on in Japan. Marine chemist, highly contaminated waste flowing into aquifer below Fukushima. Groundwater can erupt from seafloor offshore. The aquariums have left the building. They're seeping from underneath. Government expert warned about radioactive substances springing up in the Pacific. Professor, seafood off North American coast predicted to exceed government radioactivity limit. Did you know that's 1,200 becquerels? High priority looming threat to global ocean from Fukushima release. I've been going on and on and on about this. Radiation's well above 1,000 becquerels per kilogram according to model. Remember, they're already above 1,000. Hitting 1,200, which is our limit. They'll just raise it. Don't worry, folks. Everything's completely under control. No one in the world has ever dealt with something like the WIP disaster. Continuous releases of radioactive material 24/7 to environment. Nobody knows when leaking will end. It's a major failure for so many people to be exposed. Government yet to say if dump will open again. Well, they'll throw a few $1 billion at it, but it'll never open again. Make it work. Inside sources, Fukushima crisis, quote, actually far worse than anyone acknowledged. Information withheld to prevent public panic. Professor level of radiation was far worse than Navy officers anticipated. U.S. government shredded documents for 4 days while drawing up plans to evacuate Japan. I remember reporting on that. Quote, somebody was obviously very worried. The insanity continues. Sea stars decimated on West Coast, Southern California ravaged as mystery disease spread south. Saw hundreds last year, now none. I got hit really hard. Mortality event like this never before documented. It's a big mystery. Uncharted waters like of which we have never seen, turning to bacterial goop. It's not just the radiation hitting the coast, folks. That tsunami swept out an industrialized coastline. That was Japan. And nobody really knows what got swept out to sea and is splashing up against the west coast of the United States and Canada. Heading on down to Mexico. Don't worry, it'll get around. Former Energy Department official, people near Tokyo were getting a yearly radiation dose in about 10 minutes. From Fukushima releases, quote, radioactive gases might have been leaving at a rate of 300% a day instead of 1% assumed by designer. So much for all those government models. The insanity continues. MIT professor and U.S. experts, Japan must act now to seal Fukushima reactors. It's too late. Concern U.S. to be affected by explosions. A chain reaction engulfing reactors 1 to 4. Situation is dynamically degrading and unstable. As we've been going on and on and on about this. Aircraft can likely entomb plant in 6 months. We're talking about capping it. They're going to cover the thing in cement. And come back in a few hundred years. Don't worry, folks. Everything's completely under control. Nuclear engineer, we know pieces of Fukushima unit number 3 reactor core got released and spread all over the place like a virus. Scary part of finding one very potent hot particle is there's going to be a lot more. Everything's completely under control. Nothing to worry about. Oh, it just goes on and on and on and on and on, as it always does. That's about all I have for you today. Of course, if I missed anything, please let me know. Attach your comments or videos below down in the comment box. Enjoy while you can, everybody. I am. Thanks.